This is Why So Mysterious, the podcast where we attempt to fill the gap between the bodies we have and the lack of knowledge around them.
We're sharing our experiences and answering our own questions,
with some help along the way,
to destigmatize tricky, taboo topics,
the triple T's.
Welcome to another episode of Why So Mysterious. I'm Raven.
And I'm Sara.
And today we're going to be talking about period products that we have used and a couple
failed at.
And yeah, definitely some that we didn't even know we'd failed at until we stopped using them.
Very true.
And then a couple weird kind of ones that have just
maybe we've been interested about them.
So, you know, like a lot of menstruators, I suppose. I've tried a few different things. Although some people, I feel like they stick to
Some
one.
people just stick to one.
If it works for you, like why would you change?
I stuck to one for like 10 years.
Every single time I've changed it up, it's been because of some kind of necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
let's get into it.
Start at the beginning.
Ooh. Okay.
So, as we talked about in the last episode, your first period product was
toilet paper.
Yes.
Yes. So I can give you in-depth details of how to wrap and fold and
swaddle
your underwear with toilet paper. But I will tell you off the top, it is the least efficient method of menstrual care.
Ineffective.
It does not work. Aside from just leaving your vulva with little pieces of damp toilet paper on it.
Gross.
Pretty much, yeah. And then your underwear, and it's just a whole mess, you know? Like, it's really, but you know what? When you got nothing else, and it's all you can use.
That's the thing.
It's what you use.
Yeah. And there's still like a lot of people, I'm sure, like all over the world who use it.
So I'm not shaming anybody.
No.
I mean,
I don't think anyone's choosing out of options to go with that.
And I think the world has changed a lot now, where there's a lot more access in like North America and certain places. There's a lot more access to like products in schools or like public
drives
places.
People do.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think it's different now. But I mean, at the time, toilet paper was what I used. Probably for about a year or so. My memory is so bad, so I don't really.
I feel like it was longer than a year.
I think it probably was. It was like, I think I would use it kind of in between whenever I there would be times I would steal like pads or tampons, but that would be maybe I would use like one pad and then the next day I would use toilet paper. So it was kind of just in between.
Have you seen that video that was going around for a bit of, obviously like there's articles and stuff about this, but there was a TikTok that a woman who had been in prison, I think in Virginia, and she showed how she made tampons out of a pad when she was in prison.
I have seen her TikTok. I haven't seen that.
So she takes
TikTok.
a pad and it's clearly like a nighttime pad, and she says like, oh, like this is a really long pad. This would have been a luxury, but we never would have got something like this. You rip off the top layer until you get to the cellulose underneath, like basically like cotton ball kind of thing. And then she just rips it off, and so then she gets a strip of the cellulose, and then she rips it into sections and rolls it, and she ends up getting like I think like 6 tampons out of it or something. But like it's not, you know, like a commercial compact. The fibers are a commercial tampon. The fibers are more compact. Obviously, fibers can still come off of it.
Yeah,
but it's dense, and this one is very fluffy.
Oh yeah, I can imagine, and I mean, the thing is, like, again, zero shame, because the prison system is at fault for not providing
100%.
them. Because, you know, I saw that person's TikTok, and it was like, you know, often it was like a male, what are they called? CO?
Yeah. Correction officer.
Yeah, CO. Or, you know, like they're basically given like one pad.
Yeah.
Which is extremely disturbing. And you know, just all like the whole prison system is at fault for them ever having to do this. But the scary part is that even though that looks like cotton, it looks fluffy, it's 97% like plastic.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's made out of a natural fiber, but it's not. So like whatever you're putting in there, that's not cellulose. It's actually plastic.
Really?
Oh, yeah, 100% pads are 97%. Like not, I keep trying to say polyester.
I know that most of like
plastic.
the outer layer is, but also
Nope.
the inner layer too
Also the
of a
inner layer.
pad.
Yeah, it's a synthetic fiber that's probably made to be puffy like that.
Right.
Because think of the cost of cotton,
Yeah.
and then think of the cost of plastic.
Well, I know that tampons are mostly made now out of like cotton but mostly rayon.
Yeah, they're mostly rayon,
So-
which is a synthetic.
It's made out of wood pulp though.
Yeah, it's like a synthetic natural fiber.
Yeah, it's a synthetic natural. It's made
not
out of wood
cotton.
pulp, but it's
Yeah.
not.
You can buy cotton tampons.
Yeah.
And you can buy cotton pads, but I'm talking about the pads in a prison. They're going to be the cheapest pads. They're going to be
polyester.
pretty much all plastic based.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it looks like cotton, it's not cotton. At least from my informed opinion, that's what, as far as I know, majority of pads are 97. Yeah. It's like something like 97% plastic.
Even if you did get in prison, like one of the finest pads in all the land, but you only got
but
one.
Even then, even if it is cotton and it is that loose of, like if it's just like kind of almost like cotton ball, that's really not safe. Like even though you know, like touching your skin, it's not going to cut you, but touching the inside of your vagina, like the vaginal walls, it's your vaginal walls like so sensitive. It's like basically, I don't even know how to describe it, like an open muscle, like it's
kind of,
you know,
it's
like
just tissue.
It's just tissue. So it can, even though like cotton feels like it's like really soft, it can actually like be abrasive. And so, but I'm like, the thing is, I think it's great that she's doing those videos, because I think people need to know that they're like having to take a pad and make, you know, 4, 5, 6 tampons out of it.
More than one day.
More than, which is insane. And that, you know, just making, I follow, or like not follow, I found her on TikTok and I thought what she was doing was really cool. It's so, I find it just really sad. Like I find it devastating. There's especially, I mean, like prison systems, that was a whole nother conversation.
Oh yeah.
But like there is money. There's money there to provide them with products. But I think like when it's kind of just like, I think we as like people who menstruate, it's like when you have to deal with it. Like you don't, and this is why it's insane that some countries still have a luxury tax on period products, because you have to deal with it. You don't get to not deal with it, even if you're using birth control to then not deal with it. But it's like then you're somehow still dealing with it, you know? But so it's just kind of like, it's so insane to me that like these things aren't just readily available to everyone who needs them at all times. Scotland. Oh gosh, yeah. They're so awesome.
Oh man, yeah. Teach us your ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, what was your first product?
My first product was pads. And I remember it was like, okay, mostly because I feel like, and this is kind of like the attitude that I felt when I did eventually need to find an external menstrual product like later in life, is like there definitely is a feeling towards pads that they're a little humiliating in a weird way, because they're like diaper adjacent. And so I remember getting these pads and I told my mom right away, I want to use tampons, and she said no, and it had nothing to do with purity. It was just like, you're not doing that right now. You need to try these, and then later we'll talk about it. Like you just, you know, get the hang of just menstruating in general, and then we'll talk about period, other things that you can do. And I remember being bummed about it and not being stoked on wearing a pad. They were fine. It was just like, you know, like fucking gym class wearing a pad, going in the change room, like anything like that. It's not fun. And then one day I leaked just a little bit, but like it's still I got all the way home and I was wearing light colored pants and it was like the size of a dime right in the center of my pants. And I was like, fuck this. And then I told my mom, and I had probably had my period for about a year at that point. So it was like, I gave the pads the old, college try. And then she didn't really question it. And then immediately she also told me how to use tampons really quickly. She gave me like a very, very fast rundown of like, this is how you do it. But then...
Did she use tampons?
She did use tampons.
Did you have them in the house, but you weren't allowed to use them?
Yeah, I think maybe. Or she might... No, actually, you know what? My mom had started using a menstrual cup. I think about a year before I got my period. She started using this menstrual brand called The Keeper.
Yeah, it's like the oldest one.
It's one of the oldest ones. And it was like, I remember she got it. She was so stoked on it. And I was looking at it like, what? Like, how? And also because I, didn't have my period yet. I was like, you put that where? Like, how does it just stay in there? But it was also like the OG ones. It was like dense rubber. If it did not feel nice and soft and flimsy. Some of the menstrual cups now, they're like basically just a jellyfish. Like they're just like kind of like it was so malleable. This was not that, and it was also like the color of terracotta, so it just kind of looked like a planter. It was kind of gnarly, but it was also like at the time
also so earthy.
So earthy. But I think for my mom it was more of like an economical thing as well too. And sense. So she had that, so there weren't tampons. So she got them, and then at the same time she did like a full like kind of finger in the face like listen to me thing, because when she was a teenager, that's when there was like a big toxic shock syndrome scandal. And certain brands of tampons had been pulled off the shelf as a result.
Right.
So she was very, put the fear in me over, you can't leave your tampon in too long because some crazy stuff can happen to you if you do. And that freaked me out, but I liked using tampons. And then I used nighttime pads at night.
Yeah. So you wouldn't sleep with tampons?
No, I would never sleep with a tampon. And my mom was very much like, never. Don't do that. And then I moved out. I moved out right after I graduated high school.
Also, let's go back. We're using organic tampons?
Right, yeah.
Or were you using cheapo ones?
No. We were using, like, I think they're called Nature Care or something like that.
I think it's Natra Care.
Yeah, it still exists. It's on, like, the shelves at most drugstores, obviously, because even since then, like, people's perception of organic menstrual products has really like skyrocketed. We would use that, or we'd use the OB tampons. My mom would never buy tampons with an applicator because she told me they were a waste of money.
Which, sorry, they are.
They are, for sure. I liked the applicator. And they also
kind of create this, like, you shouldn't touch your own blood. Like, you should touch your own blood with clean fingers. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like this, like, in my opinion, it's like, oh, like, ew, icky. Here's just an applicator to do it.
I don't think you should never have used a tampon without an applicator. I did like the applicator because it was easy. So when I started making my own money, occasionally I would buy myself as a treat.
Would you buy the cardboard ones?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
that's all that NatraCare does.
Of course.
Everything is biodegradable. Right. But yeah, so it was like we had tampons, we had pads, and we had nighttime pads. Like, we were stocked.
Nice assortment.
Yeah, it was both me and my sister were the only ones using them. My mom always made sure they were in the house. That's and then nice. It was great. And it was like, we weren't like wealthy growing up either, but it was like I never, because here's the thing. Then when I moved out and I went to go and buy my own, and for me it was just like, I need tampons, I would buy panty liners also for like the end of my period. And I need nighttime pads. And I remember going to London Drugs and being like, what the fuck? What? Like, because also you need a whole box. Like, I would need basically 2/3 to 3/4 of a box of each of those things for one cycle, so I could never be low on those products. And I had no clue. I had no clue how much this shit cost until I moved out. No clue. Which was like, it was very like privileged to have had that experience for sure. Yeah. And then pretty much immediately, that's when I started using, I used a Diva Cup.
Right.
It was purely economical.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Like, if you have never paid for it and then you go to buy, because it's so true. Like, when I was actually buying the products for myself, like I remember I was always so frustrated because I was about like 2/3 of the box I would use for my period. And then it's like you can't, like you can maybe use it, you know, like the last third on the first 2 days or whatever of your next period, but inevitably you have to buy it again every month. So it's like you still end up spending a lot of money every single month.
And if you work minimum wage, which I did I remember like I always had 2 jobs at a time for a really long time. I had 2 jobs, and you still like what? And I lived in Vancouver. It's the whole thing, but also like they were expensive, and I wasn't used to buying a cheaper product. I was like, I know what I like. Yeah, I don't want to change.
Exactly.
So I moved over to I already knew that a menstrual cup existed because my mom had been using one. She had no complaints. So then I used the Diva Cup.
Nice. Like the actual brand Diva Cup.
The brand Diva Cup, and that was the only one that was sold like in
that was
stores
like
at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Now you can find different ones in stores, but like even just like 5-10 years ago. Yeah, this was Diva Cup was like the only one.
The only one, and I think it was 2010 when I started using it. So when you had money to purchase your own products, like what kind of products did you sort of like graduate to? Did you have like a middle?
No.
But you used a menstrual cup. How did you discover that?
For like 10 years, I used the OB or the cheapest tampon. So when I was in Iceland, there was this brand called Euroshopper, and it was like the no-name version of brands, like it was just like, just
generic.
very, very, very generic. And it was the cheapest. And I was always no applicator solely because I was like, didn't make any sense. I felt like it was a waste of money.
European too, and they don't really do applicators in Europe.
No, they don't actually. I never really thought about that. They don't, because the Euroshopper ones only came in like just the tampon. And then, so I would basically just use, it's kind of funny. I would just use tampons, but I didn't sleep with tampons in. But
were you free bleeding?
I would just free bleed, yeah. I pretty much would just free bleed at night. I don't bleed a ton at night, but on my heaviest days, I always lived with girl roommates, and I would just always steal their pads, like literally up until pretty much I started using Diva Cup, which didn't last very long, and then started wearing underwear. I pretty much just always kept stealing products.
You know what's funny? Every time that you told me about like stealing menstrual products, I feel like such a privileged bitch, because all those stories I have a mirrored experience only they're with cigarettes. I stole my mom's cigarettes. I stole my roommate's cigarettes. I stole everybody's cigarettes until I could buy my own. And I'm like,
I mean, it probably costs about the same
per smoke.
Yeah, probably. But so I would always just like, strategically steal from this roommate this time and this roommate that time. But for the most part, I would just free bleed at night. So
I would never feel safe enough to free bleed at night.
I just kind of did it. I don't know. I had quite a few stains on my bed, but I don't know. I didn't care. I would just clean them and whatever.
Move on.
Yeah, move on. But it was just like too much for me to purchase overnight pads. I felt like it was just way too much money.
They're expensive.
They're really expensive. Yeah. And I was just like, if I didn't buy overnight, like the really, really long ones, I was going to leak anyways, because I always like leaked at the back. So I was like, whatever. Yeah. I'll just like double up on underwear or whatever. Just put a towel down. But I'm pretty lucky in the sense that like at nighttime I'm like, I basically don't bleed. Like very, very little.
I know that's a common thing. People talk about that a lot, but I've always...
I don't know why, because I mean,
well, now we know
what I actually think. I probably do know why. I have a tilted cervix. So if it's tilted in the right way, the gushing only happens if the pool of blood is sitting on top of your cervix.
Right.
So if the pool of blood has shifted to the side, because as soon as I would get up and I've told this story. As soon as I get up, it is like fucking floodgates open. And I am just bloody everywhere.
It's like that scene in Lord of the Rings when Arwen makes all the Black Riders, and God damn it,
I've never seen it.
I just went full dork, and you weren't there for it.
Did you expect me to be there?
Haven't you seen that movie?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Anyways,
somebody out there knows what I'm talking about.
Exactly. But I think I think it's probably because I have a tilted cervix, so the blood isn't pooling on top of my cervix. It's not.
And then gravity.
Yeah, you know, and then as soon as I stand up, it's just like floodgates open. But yeah, so I just don't really bleed that much at night, which is really nice.
Yeah.
On occasion I do though, but it's, you know, rare stain here or there.
Well,
back
so
in the day.
How did you end up with a menstrual cup then?
Oh, so I always knew about TSS, but it was like, if anybody out there doesn't know what TSS is, it is toxic shock syndrome, and it is
it's basically staph infection.
Yeah, staph infection that can be traced back to your tampon usage.
You can, like, for the record, get it from other things, but
can.
It is recorded most in North America as being related to the use of an internal period product.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'd always known about it, but I still use tampons.
It is rare, for the record.
Yeah. So I had started developing Revel as a school project. So I was doing a lot of research about menstrual products.
But wait, hold on, just so I get this straight. You didn't have a menstrual cup before you were researching period underwear?
No.
Really?
100%. I was just using tampons. I started,
that's wild to me.
Yeah, I started. It was when I. Okay, and so just to like preface to everyone listening, I started the company Revel, which is a period-proof underwear company, which is also the company sponsoring this.
Well, the company who is producing.
Yeah, the company that's producing this podcast. And why I'm so interested in this topic. When I was first researching, not even like the concept of the underwear wasn't really there yet. So I wasn't using the underwear. I started to realize how horrible tampons were, A, for like your body, and then B, the environment. And I was just like, oh, okay, like I'm using rayon based tampons and they can do all of these like really harmful things to my body. And I was like, okay, like and this is again before I developed underwear, so I was like, let's try this menstrual cup thing, you know, like, but before that, I had researched like every type of period product there was, which I will go into later.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, I'll try a menstrual cup. I bought the Diva Cup. I was like, hell no, this is so uncomfortable.
Why did you find it uncomfortable?
It was so hard. Like, it was too stiff for me.
It's so funny because now, yeah, like I said, like they're so soft, but like I haven't used my Diva Cup in a long time, but yeah, I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like concrete.
It's crazy. But then I immediately bought a different one. I want to say it's called the Ruby Cup. I think it's called the Ruby Cup.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. They like give a cup every time you buy a cup.
Right.
Which is just nice.
That's lovely.
You know. And so I bought that way softer. You know, I was like, okay, I'm going to give it the, what'd you say, college try.
The old college. You were actually in college too. So
yeah, I was actually. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I tried it out for a couple months. I really tried. Like I really, really tried to make it work. But I have a tilted cervix. Plus, I have a super high cervix. And maybe it goes even higher when I'm on my period. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it can go. I mean, usually I think it goes lower on your period, but your cervix moves up and down.
You're getting into wandering womb territory.
We won't talk about that today.
Not today.
Not today. But anyways, I do have a really high cervix. So imagine putting your entire finger inside of your vagina and just scratching the tip of your...
I don't think I've ever touched my cervix.
No, that's me touching the tip of the cup.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
And then try to pop the seal. If all you can grasp is like, I could just get the end of and I hadn't trimmed it, I hadn't cut it or anything. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, what kind of like medieval device is this just left to be like trapped inside my body because I can't get it? I literally considered asking someone to help me get it out.
Did you ever have to birth your menstrual cup?
Full on had to. I'm not even kidding you. I'm surprised I didn't have fucking cervical prolapse because I literally was like, I was in the bathtub.
Pop and squat,
literally. And then so I kept using it because I was like, okay, it kind of works. It kind of didn't. Like it was like really difficult. But the only way I could get it out was if I like literally was on the ground and like birthed it to get it out.
On the ground?
Yeah, basically. It was fucking terrifying.
So you're not like a public washroom menstrual cup user?
I was at one. I do not know why I did this. Actually, I did. Well, okay, this happened twice. One time, I was at school, and I must have felt like I was leaking, or maybe I was adjusting it because I wasn't very like it was leaking all the time for me. So I was like, "Isn't this supposed to be so much better?" And so I was in the public bathroom in my university. Thankfully, it was a very small bathroom. A very small university. But I go to shift it or change it or something. I can't remember. And I dropped it in the bathroom.
On the ground?
On the ground. Yeah, full on. Like, thankfully.
Was it full?
I can't remember if it was full. It did. There was definitely blood on the floor. And I thankfully like cleaned that up. No, I don't think anybody else was in the bathroom. But then I
thankfully cleaned that up.
Yeah, well, okay, whatever. I had cleaned it up. I meant to say like thankfully it didn't like bounce around.
Thankfully you weren't a total asshole and just left it there.
Thankfully I have, values and morals and I don't leave my blood on the ground.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah. But that time wasn't that bad, but I was left with a menstrual cup that had been on the floor in a public bathroom, so I wasn't going to put it back in me. So I was like, I remember I had to like, probably toilet paper it up, and then I asked a friend for a tampon, so it was okay. But one time when I was at home, and you know this about me, sometimes my hands just like let things go. So I'm not surprised I dropped a menstrual cup in the bathroom at school, but I also dropped it at my parents' house, and it literally bounced like floor, wall, like it was a fucking murder scene. And I was just like, like literally my mom's like, are you okay in there? I was like, oh, it's fine. And I was like, oh my fucking God. And because it's silicone, I'm not kidding you, it bounced.
It's like a bouncy ball.
Yeah.
Full of juice.
Blood. Full of blood. So
Ew.
that was a fucking disaster. And then I kind of was like, you know what? I don't like this. So we're stopped. Done here. Yeah, and we're done here. And then but I was still like, so now we're at the point where I'm starting to actually develop the underwear, still like in school. Still just a school project, but I'm starting to like kind of test it. But at that time, I'd only made medium protection, so I was still wearing a tampon with it, but I started buying organic because I was like, well, now I'm doing this. I had a little bit of a better job at that point, so I had some money. Actually, I had 3 jobs at that point, now that I remember.
And you were in school.
And I was in school. So I had, but not even that much money. But even then, so like the underwear still wasn't enough. Like it was like a backup at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Then I developed the heavy protection, and then I just stopped wearing anything else. I just wore the underwear, and that's like 4 years ago. So
and now you don't.
And now I don't
else.
use anything else.
Yeah.
I just wear the underwear. So that's my journey to getting here, wearing underwear.
To period underwear.
Period underwear.
I probably would have stayed with my menstrual cup forever if I hadn't had, like, the reason that I made the switch was not the fault of the cup, even though we've talked about this before.
Oh,
but
yes.
I did not know about the seal or, like,
I can't believe you didn't know about the seal.
Yeah, so, like, also anyone out there who's like me who doesn't know about the seal,
talked about that.
yeah, like a menstrual cup will basically, like, suction into your vagina.
Well, it suctions around your cervix.
Right.
So your cervix is like this little hole at the top of your
gate.
Yeah, it's the gate of your vaginal wall. It's the gate between your vaginal wall and your uterus. And it basically, and here's a really fun fact that all the listeners can hear. So, when you are menstruating, I might mix this up, but I'm going to give this fact anyways.
Give it a go.
When you're menstruating or close to menstruation, your cervix feels like if you tap your lip, it feels like that. Like
So
it's like a soft, But then if you tap the tip of your nose, that's what your cervix feels like when you're not menstruating. So when it's kind of like closed and tight, it's tightened up. So it's like, it's all hard and like, nothing's getting out of here. And then it softens up when you're on your period.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a fun little fact. But basically your menstrual cup suctions and is shaped to be bigger than your cervix. So that your cervix almost sits inside and suctions around it. Like it's like a little donut that suctions into your
I didn't really I didn't really know that either. I thought it was just like, wide enough that it would block everything. It would just like sit maybe
Did you
like
think
mid.
like the hole was just that big?
I didn't even care how big the hole was. It was just like, I know that my vagina is small, but I can make it big when I shove things inside of it. So that's gotta just like block the path of anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't really I leaked in my menstrual cup all the time, but it was never like enough for me to really care. But yeah, so there's a little hole at the top of most menstrual cups that allows it so that, you can break the seal easily and, it kind of makes sense. Like that little hole that's in the top of like a disposable coffee cup lid. You can't drink out of it unless the hole's there. So I didn't know any of this. And so there were lots of times when like I folded it to get it in because you have to, but to get it out, I didn't know that was something. So I would just grab the tail and pull. And it was just luck of the draw. See how?
Were you ever sore after?
No, because you know what would happen is like, I'm not so, I was going to say out to lunch, but I know this has happened to people and I don't want to make them feel bad because I was just straight up ignorant. It's like, okay, here's the thing. You get your clothes, you get fabric stuck in a zipper. Yeah. Do you just fucking start reefing on the zipper to get it out? Exactly. No. So I would feel resistance and obviously it would cause me discomfort. And so I would stop. Yeah. And retry. And that normally would you
be able to like grab the base of it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So that was the thing. It's like you start with the tail. Yeah. And then you grab the base, you can pop the seal from there. And so that's what I'm assuming would happen. But so I didn't know that you can actually like really hurt yourself.
Yeah, you can.
But my body was just like, that hurts, stop. And then I would stop. But I didn't know that. So I was just sort of like, going in full cowgirl. Like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But then I didn't have my menstrual cup one night. I've talked about this on a Revel Instagram before. I was going to an event and I wasn't going to miss it. And so I just borrowed
Not just
tampons.
an event.
Okay.
Come on. You got to give him
I
what it was.
went to the male strippers for the first time and I was very excited. The male strippers, because where we live, ladies' night is once a month for 2 hours.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that about? Anyway.
Ridiculous.
It's so dumb.
Unfair. That's the first thing we're doing after COVID.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So also, yeah, it did spark a passion in me for male strippers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we were going to this show and my period came early. I wasn't really expecting it. And I thought about going home, but it was like we were going for dinner first and stuff. And I didn't really want to miss that. So I acquired tampons from coworkers. And, you know, because I'm terrified of TSS and I hadn't used them in a really long time, I think I only wore one 4 hours at a time, and then I would change it out. And then after that night, my vagina just like fought back. It was really mad. So I ended up developing like chronic BB for like a year, and then I was, you know, on like antibiotics a lot, and it all worked out in the end, and it was fine. But what ended up happening is while I was having these infections, using a menstrual cup became incredibly uncomfortable and incredibly painful. And it was just like, I could do it and I was doing it, but it wasn't good.
No.
It was very, you know, when you're walking around with your body and you just kind of like are walking around with it. And then when something's wrong with it, then you're just like overly aware that it's there.
Yeah.
You know, when it's your vagina,
you're so
it's
aware.
Really, you gotta like sit on that thing and stuff. And then like, you know, if you're getting laid, and it sucks. It sucks. So I was looking for alternatives, and I wanted to use something external, and I didn't want to go back to using disposables.
Right.
But I also really didn't want to use cloth pads because, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I am a snob, and cloth pads all look really crafty to me. They don't look nice.
No, there are, I mean, someone show us some nice
nope.
They're all like weirdly printed, or like
they're weirdly printed, or just
weird
like
color, and I'm like, give me some nice just black, or like
even a zigzag stitch pisses me off. I'm like,
you're right. And the snaps.
I just I'm not a fan.
I've never been a fan. I like considered it for half a second when I was doing all my research, but I was like, that sounds so bulky. Like so bulky.
It sounded really just like inconvenient, and I was like, I'm not going to do that. And so I was thinking about it, and then that's when we reconnected.
Yeah, I know.
Just like really hilarious timing. And so the first time that we went and met up, we went and had coffee, and I knew you had started Revel, and I was curious because, I mean, who wouldn't be? But also I was like, you know, really needing something, and but I also was like, there's no fucking way this works. It's just not possible. And so I remember being like, you need to explain to me exactly how this works.
Yeah.
And you clearly knew what you were talking about. It wasn't a sales pitch at all. It was just like, here's how it works. Also, I have a background in textiles and apparel. And so it was like technical and logical. But in my head, I was like, bullshit. No way. But I also was like, I really need an alternative.
Yeah.
And so, I bought 3 pairs, and I haven't worn anything else since. And it's great. Honestly, it's just really nice to not have to put anything inside of you.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that's my absolute favorite part. Is just not putting anything inside of you. Like, I think you get, even with a menstrual cup, like, you get kind of tired of the inserting and stuff like that. Like, the actual, like, physically just having something inside of you.
It's also not particularly convenient to be wearing kind of out and about, like, all day. Like, I always had a really hard time in, like, public washrooms where it's like, okay, like, how do I manage this? And like, I can wash my hands before and after, but like, are my hands really clean in here?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It just
I know.
wasn't helpful. So
I know. It's rough.
So we both wear period underwear.
Yeah.
And
we are totally biased in that factor. I mean,
honestly,
I obviously am, but then it's like, when I developed them, it was literally because I was just like, okay, I need something that really works. And that I can just wear and not worry about. And that's really what I think period underwear gives people, is just like, you just get to wear underwear.
You just put it on.
You just put it
on.
And
move on.
Yeah. And, you know, but like whatever works for people.
Yeah, totally.
It's just like go with what makes you feel the best.
I feel like I might, you know, it's like seemingly like I have a biased opinion about that, but honestly, I started wearing it before I worked for Revel, and I I haven't, I don't know, it's just like, I wouldn't keep wearing it if it wasn't working for me.
That's true.
So,
yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, and same here. I mean, I don't think I would ever promote a product that I don't 100% stand behind. You know, like,
you went off birth control because you wanted to bleed more into your underwear.
Yes. I've also multiple times Googled, how do I bleed more on my period?
Let's really see how this works.
I'm like, I really want a hemorrhage in these.
I want a hemorrhage.
I want to do it for the people, you know? I want to do it for you. I want to be the guinea pig. Make sure it works. And it does. I mean, thankfully, we've had lots of people who have like very heavy flows try out the period underwear, and it works brilliantly.
Yeah.
But I guess now, are there any products that you, maybe in your research when you were looking for stuff, that you like considered trying but were a little too wacky?
I never considered any other product really. Like, the only ones that I could see was like maybe going for a more malleable cup, because like I said, I used a Diva Cup, and I was using, like, I'd had it for a few years, so it was one of the older ones.
Yeah.
So that seemed like it could be an option, but then I, you know, just didn't, I wasn't jazzed about the idea of using anything internal again. And then I never really saw anything else that made me think this could be a good, an effective and economical thing.
Yeah.
It's more like the ones that I'm curious about are like the throwback ones, but that's a one-time wear curiosity situation. So, but what about you? Is there anything else?
I think there was a few. So there was like the natural sponge. I was like,
no.
I almost bought them.
No,
like literally almost, because it was like a tampon, but it was natural. So you just like insert real sponges in you, and then you can just wash them and reuse them.
I'm sorry, but there's no fucking way that thing
That's
is
about
clean.
as granola as you can get.
There's fucking sand in there,
yeah, I bet. I'm sure it's not. It was also like an Etsy website, you know. I'm sure. I'm glad I didn't do it, but I was really, really close. Like, I was already like in the cart and everything.
I don't know if I would ever buy an internal period product off of Etsy, just saying.
It's probably a smart way to go, I would say. Probably a very smart way to go. And then I also considered the labia pads. Have you heard of those ones?
What is that?
They look like a little leaf, and then you just kind of like tuck them in your labia.
No, you don't. There's no way those stay.
It's like a little, or you like roll them. There's some like way to roll them and like kind of stick them almost between your lips, and then it's like a pad. But then I was like, there's no way. I mean, have you ever stuck something between your lips and felt good? Like, imagine just like a pad or whatever, like something just literally separating your lips and then just sitting.
Also, then you'd kind of end up just looking like a really stupid, like, Greco-Roman statue with, like, the fig leaf over your genitals.
Exactly.
Just, like, there's no way that...
And I don't know if they would even really work. I just feel like it was an interesting... I was like,
you'd have to have the lightest flow.
Literally the lightest. I feel like I would just drench those pretty quickly.
I just feel like I would be clenching all day.
Holding it. Yeah, that's true, actually. I don't really know how they stay
because
in
every
place.
time that I've used, like, in an emergency, toilet paper, just as like a backup until I can get home or whatever,
you feel like you really have to hold it in,
and it always comes out, and then it just ends up like moving up and down your underwear. All that, because the thing is like you're I don't know, I move around, like I have places to go.
Yeah, you're a woman on the go.
I'm a woman on the go with toilet paper in my underwear. Because it's an emergency. We've all been there. But yeah, it's just like it never works. So that's also how you end up using like a ton of toilet paper too, because you're just hoping like the volume
will
keep it, and then you just
bulkiness.
pull your underwear up really high and tight.
Yeah.
And it never stays.
No, it doesn't.
It's,
and I doubt these labia pads would either.
I can't even.
Yeah.
That just sounds like the dumbest thing.
I think they're still a thing. Probably not a big thing, but they're an Etsy thing.
It sounds as effective as the C-string.
Oh,
remember the C-string?
Yeah.
Maybe they should just do that.
Yeah.
Be the same thing.
Oh, like a C-string period product.
Yeah.
Like a period-proof C-string. Well, it's really hard for me to say.
Period-proof C-string.
Yeah, exactly. Period-proof C-string. Coming 2022.
We're not going to do that. Anyway.
Hey, you never know.
Okay, so speaking of would you ever try?
Yeah.
There's a few products through history which when I found out about them just baffled me, and then I had to do some like fact checking, and I want to see like how you feel about it. One was I recently read Toni Morrison's novel The Bluest Eye, which was set in I think the 40s, possibly the 50s. And there's a part in the book where a young girl gets her period for the first time, and this blew my mind. What they do is they take cloths, essentially like handkerchiefs, and she's wearing a little dress. They take a safety pin on either end, and then they pin either end to the front and back of her skirt, and then her legs are in between. So it's kind of like a handkerchief pad hammock.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that what people are walking around doing? Like,
I think so.
Because this is like obviously like they're.
I guess they weren't wearing underwear. Or their skirt, like, was their underwear.
They must not. I don't know how you pin something to the front and back of your skirt, and then maybe not. Although it doesn't really seem like very like proper for back in the day to be. Who knows? But
who knows?
That
sounds
is wild.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the belt.
Yes.
Do you remember how you found out about the belt?
Yes, I do.
Tell me.
This actually goes into when I think I basically first learned about menstruation. And I don't know how I acquired this book, but I very much remember it from my childhood. And it was a Judy Blume book called
Are You
There, God? It's Me, or something.
It's Me, Margaret.
It's Me, Margaret, yeah. And there was, part of the book where she gets her period and her mom teaches her, like, how to use the belt, basically. And I remember reading it and just like, what?
Belt?
Like, what? And then I think I was quite confused that wasn't still the product. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, is this what we're still using? Like, oh, okay. And then
Where's the belt?
Where's the belt? Yeah, literally. And then so but yeah, I think that's definitely the first time I ever heard of a belt.
That's hilarious. I never read that book, but I did read recently that they updated Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, and now it's just a quote-unquote sanitary pad.
What?
So it's the same book, but they made them because it's technically educational. That book is actually still where a lot of young menstruators learn about menstruation.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's still
okay.
in print.
I wonder if someone gave that to me to be like,
I think it might be kind of a
this.
birds and the bees book for a lot of people,
yeah,
where it's like,
it is.
I can't talk
I don't know
to you.
who gave it to me. I have the worst, literally the worst memory.
I mean,
in
it's
the
possible
world,
you
so.
found it on your own.
I don't know. It was like I was a kid. I didn't have money to buy it, so
Library?
no, because it was I had it at
you
home.
had
I
it.
owned it. It was my property.
Someone must have given it to you.
Yeah,
But
whoever did that, I'm somewhat grateful.
well, when I found out about the belt, it was I was watching The Slums of Beverly Hills with my family, and it was before. Oh my God, you should. It's great. It's a 90s movie starring Natasha Lyonne and Marissa Tomei and Alan Arkin.
Okay.
It's really entertaining. It's about a family who they live in Beverly Hills, but they're very it's a single dad and 3 kids, and they don't have any money, and he's just constantly like midnight moving because he can't afford the rent at all these places.
I think you told me about this movie.
Yeah, but he really wants to stay in the Beverly Hills zip code because they have the best schools. He keeps saying they have the best schools. And so she gets her period her dad is like courting this woman who's fabulously played by Jessica Walters, rest in peace. Lucille from Arrested Development. So he's dating this woman, and then they all go over to her house for dinner, and she keeps talking about her beautiful seat covers on these dining chairs, and then Natasha Lyonne ends up bleeding on them. But before she does that, she realizes she started her period and then just tries to discreetly ask Jessica Walter's character, like, do you have anything? And she's like, oh, well, like, I don't bleed anymore, but I have something. And she gives her a belt. Oh my gosh. And then Natasha Lyonne's character takes it out of the box and like looks at it and is like, what the fuck? And I remember watching that and then turning to my mom, like, because I think it was set in the 70s.
Yeah.
And my mom grew up in the 70s. And I was like, is that for, like, are you for real? Like, is that real? And my mom was like, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always wanted to, like, put one of those on.
I feel like we need to buy one just to have, like, eventually we'll have, like, a period products, like, museum or something. And we should acquire one now. Because I definitely feel like that would be an experience.
What I want to do is I want to put it on with, basically they were almost like nighttime pads. They were so freaking long. And then I want to see what it's like to... one, like, go to the bathroom because you have to like take the whole belt off, but also like what kind of clothes can you wear over the belt? What can you
wear over the belt?
I want to know.
TikTok. That would be a great TikTok.
So those ones are wild.
That's awesome. Nobody can steal that, by the way. We're doing that first.
Copyrighted TikTok.
Copyright.
that we haven't made yet.
Copyright that idea.
I'm sure someone's done it already, but
that's hilarious.
So you brought
Oh yes,
a little present.
I should have said this earlier when I was talking about. Oh, sorry. I should have said this earlier when I was actually talking about tampons, but I found this old box of tampons.
We should say really quickly, as I've mentioned, I don't actually know how to use any of these products. Obviously, I was going in blind a lot. My mom would give me a quick tutorial and then that was it. I've never read a tampon box. I never read how to put in a menstrual cup. I read how to clean my period underwear and that was it. You, on the other hand, because no one was talking to you about this shit. You were reading everything.
Every single pamphlet. Also, that's why you don't know about the breaking the seal. Like, it literally says on the box of the Diva Cup to pop the seal with your finger.
I can't remember the last time.
People out there, read the box.
You really should.
The information is on there for a reason.
I'm just like, strap in. Maybe let's see how this goes.
And so we're going to do an episode specifically on TSS.
Yes.
Later. That's not soon. This episode. Yeah, soon. But just to kind of, I guess, like, give you a little taste of what that episode's going to be about. I wanted to read off the box like I love to do. It says right on the box, this is an OB tampon box.
Sans applicator.
Sans applicator. Yeah, exactly. So it says, attention, tampons are associated with toxic shock syndrome, TSS. TSS is a rare but serious disease that may cause death. Read and save the enclosed information. So that, I think, is what, I still use them for like 10 years, even though I read that on the box pretty much every single time.
It says may cause.
May cause.
Nothing's certain.
But is there anything else you would put inside of your body that might cause you to die?
Medication.
No, that's true.
No, not like a device, probably.
Not for 7 days straight.
I smoke.
Oh, yeah, you do. You're a bad example. Well, there's nothing I would put in my body, I don't think. Maybe medication, but...
I don't know, you roll the dice on the microwave a lot. I'm going to just put that one out there.
Hey, I don't smoke, so...
Anyway,
we each got our vices.
We do.
Minus microwave food.
That is sweet nicotine.
Judgment over the microwave. Miss Nicotine. Don't even.
It's just the plastic.
Don't even. You're literally smoking carcinogenic poison. Which one's going to cause cancer more likely?
I don't know. We'll see which one of us gets cancer first. It's a race.
It's a race. Yeah,
Sickle cell carcinoma race.
Oh my God, you're crazy.
This is the new Sun Run. It's the opposite.
Oh my God, you made me literally choke on my water. This is the new Sun Run. Oh, you're so funny. My cheeks are like hurting.
Good.
That's so funny. Anyways, okay. I think basically this has been our journey with period products. I think we both landed at the same spot.
We did, and also
the same
like
product.
I would just say, like, personally, I don't like anymore the products that I used to use, but while I was using them, I never had like a nightmare story with any of them. It was just like they no longer served me and I moved on.
Exactly.
So, if you use tampons, fine. You do you.
You do you. We're going to be doing some more deep dives into different period products.
Specific ones.
On the show. So definitely send us like an email. You can send us an email at
whysomysteriouspod@gmail.com.
Right.
It'll be in the credits. So yeah, if you have any questions about any, or you want more information, or you just want to hear us talk about it.
And then we'll read them out. Like if you've got questions or whatever.
Share your menstrual cup horror story.
Yes. Did yours bounce around 4 times like mine?
Did yours pull your cervix out?
Let's really hope not.
I hope not.
Don't wish that on you. Thanks for listening.
We'll be back.
We'll get better at this. Why So Mysterious is hosted by Sara Jonsdottir and Raven McLean. Audio is produced and edited by Sonia Inke. Original music is by Malcolm Holt and Alexis Young.
Check out our website, whysomysterious.com, for more information about this episode and other episodes. You can also email us with questions or topics you'd like to hear us cover on the show at whysomysteriousPod@gmail.com.
Follow us on Instagram at whysomysteriousPod for updates, fun facts, and general outrage. If you're an audio listener, but you'd rather be a voyeur, check us out on YouTube.
If you like the show, tell your friends, and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
Until next time.